For shame, madam, for shame! Think what you are saying. Who else, I would ask, would care to buy those souls? What use could they be to any one?" "If that is so, they might come in useful to me," mused the old woman aloud; after which she sat staring at Chichikov with her mouth open and a face of nervous expectancy as to his possible rejoinder. "Dead folk useful in a household!" he exclaimed. "Why, what could you do with them? Set them up on poles to frighten away the sparrows from your garden?" "The Lord save us, but what things you say!" she ejaculated, crossing herself. "Well, what could you do with them? By this time they are so much bones and earth. That is all there is left of them. Their transfer to myself would be on paper only. Come, come, at least give me an answer." Again the old woman communed with herself. "What are you thinking of, Nastasia Petrovna?" inquired Chichikov. "I am thinking that I scarcely know what to do. Perhaps I had better sell you some hemp." "What do I want with hemp? Pardon me, but just when I have made to you a different proposal altogether, you begin fussing about hemp. Hemp is hemp, and though I may want some when I next visit you, I should like to know what you have to say to the suggestion under discussion." "Well, I think it a very queer bargain. Never have I heard of such a thing." Upon this Chichikov lost all patience, upset his chair, and bid her go to the devil, of which personage even the mere mention terrified her extremely. "Do not speak of him, I beg you!" she cried, turning pale. "May God rather bless him! Last night was the third night that he has appeared to me in a dream. You see, after saying my prayers, I bethought me of telling my fortune by the cards, and God must have sent him as a punishment. He looked so horrible, and had horns longer than a bull's." "I wonder you don't see scores of devils in your dreams. Merely out of Christian charity he had to come to you to say, 'I perceive a poor woman going to rack and ruin, and likely soon to stand in danger of want.' Well, go to rack and ruin, yes, you and all your village together." "The insults!" exclaimed the old woman, glancing at her visitor in terror. "I should think so," continued Chichikov. "Indeed, I cannot find words to describe you. To say no more about it, you are like a dog in a manger. You don't want to eat the hay yourself, yet you won't let any one else touch it. All that I am seeking to do is to purchase certain domestic products of yours, for the reason that I have certain government contracts to fulfil." This last he added in passing, and without any ulterior motive, save that it came to him as a happy thought. Nevertheless, the mention of government contracts exercised a powerful influence upon Nastasia Petrovna, and she hastened to say in a tone that was almost supplicatory, "Why should you be so angry with me? Had I known you were going to lose your temper in this way, I should never have discussed the matter." "No wonder that I lose my temper. An egg too many is no great matter, yet it may prove exceedingly annoying." "Well, well, I will let you have the souls for 15 roubles each. Also, with regard to those contracts, do not forget me, if at any time you should find yourself in need of rye meal, or buckwheat, or groats, or dead meat." "No, I shall never forget you, madam," he said, wiping his forehead, where 3 separate streams of perspiration were trickling down his face. Then he asked her whether in the town she had any acquaintance or agent whom she could empower to complete the transference of the serfs, and to carry out whatsoever else might be necessary. "Certainly," replied Madame Korobotchka. "The son of our archpriest, Father Cyril, himself is a lawyer." Upon that Chichikov begged her to accord the gentleman in question a power of attorney, while, to save extra trouble, he himself would then and there compose the requisite letter. "It would be a fine thing if he were to buy up all my meal and stock for the government," thought Madame to herself. "I must encourage him a little. There has been some dough standing ready since last night, so I will go and tell Fetinia to try a few pancakes. Also, it might be well to try him with an egg pie. We make them nicely here, and they do not take long in the making." So she departed to translate her thoughts into action, as well as to supplement the pie with other products of the domestic cuisine, while, for his part, Chichikov returned to the drawing room where he had spent the night, in order to procure from his dispatch box the necessary writing paper. The room had now been set in order, the sumptuous feather bed removed, and a table set before the sofa. Depositing his dispatch box upon the table, he heaved a gentle sigh on becoming aware that he was so soaked with perspiration that he might almost have been dipped in a river. Everything, from his shirt to his socks, was dripping. "May she starve to death, the cursed old harridan!" he ejaculated after a moment's rest. Then he opened his dispatch box. In passing, I may say that I feel certain that at least some of my readers will be curious to know the contents and the internal arrangements of that receptacle. Why should I not gratify their curiosity? To begin with, the centre of the box contained a soap dish, with, disposed around it, 6 or 7 compartments for razors. Next came square partitions for a sand box and an inkstand, as well as, scooped out in their midst, a hollow of pens, sealing wax, and anything else that required more room. Lastly, there were all sorts of little divisions, both with and without lids, for articles of a smaller nature, such as visiting cards, memorial cards, theatre tickets, and things which Chichikov had laid by as souvenirs. This portion of the box could be taken out, and below it were both the space for manuscripts and a secret money box, the latter made to draw out from the side of the receptacle. Chichikov set to work to clean a pen and then to write. Presently his hostess entered the room. "What a beautiful box you've got there, my dear sir!" she exclaimed as she took a seat beside him. "Probably you bought it in Moscow?" "Yes, in Moscow," replied Chichikov without interrupting his writing. "I thought so. One can get good things there. 3 years ago my sister bought me a few pairs of warm shoes for my sons, and they were such excellent articles. To this day my boys wear them. And what nice stamped paper you have!" She peered into the dispatch box, where, sure enough, there lay a further store of the paper in question. "Would you mind letting me have a sheet of it? I'm without any at all, although I shall soon have to be presenting a plea to the Land Court, and possess not a morsel of paper to write it on." Upon this Chichikov explained that the paper was not the sort proper for the purpose, that it was meant for serf indenturing, and not for the framing of pleas. Nevertheless, to quiet her, he gave her a sheet stamped to the value of a rouble. Next he handed her the letter to sign, and requested in return a list of her peasants. Unfortunately such a list had never been compiled, let alone any copies of it, and the only way in which she knew the peasants' names was by heart. However, he told her to dictate them. Some of the names greatly astonished our hero. So, still more, did the surnames. Indeed, frequently, on hearing the latter, he had to pause before writing them down. Especially did he halt before a certain Peter Savelyev Neuvazhai Korito. "What a string of titles!" involuntarily he ejaculated. To the Christian name of another serf was appended Korovi Kirpich, and to that of a third Koliso Ivan. However, at length the list was compiled, and he caught a deep breath, which latter proceeding caused him to catch also the attractive odour of something fried in fat. "I beseech you to have a morsel," murmured his hostess. Chichikov looked up and saw that the table was spread with mushrooms, pies, and other viands. "Try this freshly made pie, and an egg," continued Madame. Chichikov did so, and having eaten more than half of what she offered him, praised the pie highly. Indeed, it was a toothsome dish, and after his difficulties and exertions with his hostess it tasted even better than it might otherwise have done. "And also a few pancakes," suggested Madame. For answer Chichikov folded 3 together, and having dipped them in melted butter, consigned the lot to his mouth, and then wiped his mouth with a napkin. Twice more was the process repeated, and then he requested his hostess to order the britchka to be got ready. In dispatching Fetinya with the necessary instructions, she ordered her to return with a second batch of hot pancakes. "Your pancakes are indeed splendid," said Chichikov, applying himself to the second consignment of fried dainties when they had arrived. "Yes, we make them well here," replied Madame. Yet how unfortunate it is that the harvest should have proved so poor as to have prevented me from earning anything on